I was sitting there throwing popcorn in my face, sipping my drink, and I'm like, where's this movie going? Like, when he didn't use the golf club, I'm like, what is
Yeah.
going on? You only have another 73 minutes and 27 seconds to get this movie finished
Where is
and
the
done
ass
with.
kicking?
With your best friends Trey Sterling and Matt, the film Schmucks.
Hey, Film Schmucks here. This is Matt Pulaski. We got Trey Johnson and, of course, Sterling Reigns. I mean, the comments are coming in, people, and we have a new favorite schmuck on the cast. People are raving about Sterling's reviews. They want more Sterling, so we're gonna let him talk more this episode, maybe. And anyway, thanks. We got some more new subscribers, and so as always, guys, thanks for subscribing, thanks for watching, thanks for commenting. Leave comments. Tell us what you think. Tell us if you disagree with us. Tell us if you agree with us. Tell us if you have your own whole opinion about a movie. This week, of course, I think all went to the theaters to watch Nobody. So
Yeah.
do you guys want to get straight into Nobody?
Wow, I mean, what entertaining time at the theater. It was, I had to start with the negatives right away. It was an extremely slow start. It was so slow. I felt like the whole first act was like in slow motion, and they did that gag of going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday thing way too much for me. But I know we're kind of going right into it. But overall thoughts, excellent ending. I mean, we'll talk about it. I love, second, third acts are awesome. I love the
Okay.
movie. It was really good.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Well, I was just gonna say, when I've been to the theater a few times, but over the course of the last year, really only 3-4 times. This would have been the fourth. I did happen to see Raya the Last Dragon right before. But it was nice going to a theater. That was just because there wasn't really much playing. But this was a movie that I wanted to see, and it was exciting to go to a movie because there's a movie playing you want to see. It's been a while, so I did have a fun little theater experience. I have a couple theater nitpicks, but I'm going to save it for later. But overall, I genuinely think, and this is going to sound crazy maybe, but so far, I honestly think this is my favorite Schmucks movie that we've reviewed. And I think that it's my favorite, maybe contender for my favorite movie of the year so far. So I'm going to go bold right off the top. Sterling, what did you think?
Yeah, so this was my first time going to a movie theater in over a year. And so that experience just going back was kind of surreal. And luckily, my first movie to go see in a theater was this movie because honestly, I can't think of a more entertaining film in the last couple years. I have one issue with it, but we'll get more into that later. But just overall, this movie kicked all sorts of ass. Just unbelievable action by Bob Odenkirk. I did not expect to see that side of him. Just seeing his comedy for a long time. I know he's been a great actor from Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, so I know that he can show kind of that darker side of himself. But as far as the choreography and the action, man, I was so impressed with him. So yeah, this movie kicked all sorts of ass.
Yeah.
Do you want to get straight into the ass kicking a little bit?
Yeah.
I think. Well, let's go to the start of the movie. Let's keep it a little chronological here. I want to say I have a couple nitpicks. I want to say that one of the reasons I like this movie so much is a lot of the movies that we've watched here and there, there's glaring flaws or big or things that I'm like, everything was good except this. This movie to me, by the end of it, I was like, it was almost perfect as far as leaving the theater, I couldn't think of a huge flaw in the movie. I thought it was I'm glad that we've been watching a lot of long movies too, and this movie was an hour and a half. And I think if it was 20 minutes longer, or if it would have been too long, and if it was 20 minutes shorter, it would have been too short. It was almost like a perfect packaged little story that you're watching. The opening being slow, I personally thought that the opening made a lot of the rest of the movie more like cathartic almost because of the way everyone treats him like he's such a pussy at the beginning of the movie, and then it was to me it was very cathartic, like, and he kind of gets back at a lot of the people too who were saying things to him in a way. But the Monday Friday thing, this is actually Matt's nitpick thing for the theater as well. But Trey, since you brought it up, the beginning of the movie, it's showing, and it's trying to show you that he's got such a mundane life that it's all the same. I saw this in Dolby Cinema, and it was great for 99.8% of the movie. The Dolby sound was awesome, especially because the music and everything was great and the sound effects and the guns. But you know how it goes, boom, every time it does Monday through Friday. Yeah. That's the first part of the movie. So we're sitting there in these recliner chairs, and it does a big rumble every time. And so it kept going like Monday, boom, Tuesday, Thursday, and then it kept like your chair is just like rumbling because it was like 4D or something. And so because of the theater, I was a little bit like, man, this is a little too much. That has more to do, I guess, with the theater than the movie itself. Yeah. But I can kind of see that. That's maybe a little nitpick for me. But I thought the slower start to the movie fueled the rest of the movie. Trey, care to turn heel?
So you think that in a slower pace in the beginning helped the movie in the future, the second, third acts?
Yes, because in short, I think it fleshed out his character. To me, that slowness was was giving you this constrained feeling about the character, so that when he lets loose, like I said, it felt very cathartic. Like it made those parts more worth it, almost. My personal opinion.
Yeah, I didn't really take it as like slow. That wasn't my issue with it. My issue was that I felt like it went a little, maybe one step too far with the whole gimmick.
Yeah.
It definitely kind of felt like an Edgar Wright type of segment, I would say.
That's true, yeah.
And so, but I don't begrudge it that much because it did succeed, giving you the feeling of just his mundane everyday life. But yeah, that was my only issue, was that I just felt like it went one step too far. But other than that, I think it did kind of set the tone pretty well, and it kind of set the whole fact that he's kind of a pussy in a lot of people's eyes, and he's just kind of a kind of an average dude, a nobody.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I get your guys' points. I mean, I got my heel on right now. I'm ready to go. But this is, I totally agree. Like, he took it from the words from my mouth that it took it one step too far, and I didn't think they needed to have it. We get it. He is a nobody. He is this Joe Schmo living in a house with his wife putting pillows as the Great Wall of China between them, and his kids hate him other than the daughter. His son hates him. His daughter loves him. I mean, like, we get it. And but maybe I'm over analyzing or whatever. But maybe it was only 25 minutes, even though this is an hour and a half, so 30 minutes is an act. So it just, like I said, it dragged on. I was sitting there throwing popcorn in my face, sipping my drink. And I'm like, where's this movie going? Like, when he didn't use the golf club, I'm like, what is going on? You only have another 73 minutes and 27 seconds to get this movie finished and done with.
Kicking?
Yes, I was like, what is going on? And I was getting so disappointed. And there was a good joke in the beginning, if you guys can remember it, that made me laugh, but maybe I'll remember it later. But something finally made me laugh. And then it slowly got into it. She's like, "Where's my bracelet?" And then the action starts, But it was a slow start.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Afterwards, it gets going, and
that's the thing. That's the thing. It doesn't let up. But once the action starts, and I think we can all agree, The real crux of it is the bus scene.
Oh yeah,
Which
incredible.
I'm gonna say it, and I know you guys will agree on this. If anyone disagrees with this, you're booted off the podcast. That was one of the best. I mean, I have not been mesmerized by an action sequence since John Wick, probably. I mean, it really was like that's, and I know it's one of the producers, and people are going to probably make some comparisons because of this movie. Fair enough. The thing was, even just on the regard of like John Wick came along, and I was like, whoa, like this is a new kind of action movie. I haven't seen an action movie like this in a while. This was the same thing to me. I watched that, and you know what I loved about it? The trailer gave me the impression. I had a feeling at this movie that the trailer was all the action was going to be in the trailer, and that it was going to be more slow than fast. And the bus scene in the trailer, you know, he's like, I'm going to F you up. And then he just starts like punching them, and it makes it look like he goes, and they're dead. You know, in the trailer, it looked really fast. So I'm like, they blew their load in the trailer. And then you watch the movie, and that scene was almost excruciatingly long. I mean, honestly, it's one of my favorite action scenes I think I've ever seen. It was just so brutal. And when he puts the straw in the guy's neck at the end of it, I was like laughing. I was like, that was I mean, I was mesmerized. I loved every minute of it.
I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, this is like John Wick 10 years down the road. His wife didn't die. They have a kid. They have a kitty cat. You know, like this is John Wick with a family. Like this, and obviously, like we said, it's the same director, producer that did this film. So obviously, it's going to be very similar. But obviously, it's totally different in many, many ways, and it kicks ass. Like, you know, most of the last 2/3 of the movie, it's just great. Like, and now obviously, it doesn't do all the tropes. It kind of skips some of them because it's a shorter movie. It's, you know, they want to leave the mystery alive a little bit for the character. So they just go in the action, and then I thought it was jarring a little bit. So at the part where the Great Wall of China falls, and the wife finally takes down the wall between them and the bed, and where I thought there was going to be a Breaking Bad scene going on, like in the first episode of Breaking Bad.
That's a very specific reference, but I always remember that scene because the face he makes when she puts her hand under the blanket and he goes, you know, when Bryan Cranston's like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I've only seen the first episode when he gets all pissed off and she's pissed off and he just ravages her, you know. So I thought that was going to happen, but then it cut. Yeah, I'm talking about something else probably. And it cuts out of nowhere to whatever the bad guy's name is, some Russian prick. I mean, so it was kind of a weird, jarring switch for me. That's a real small nitpick, but
I have a pet peeve.
Which is fun.
I have a pet peeve of unnecessary sex scenes in movies. So when there wasn't a sex scene, I was like, "Thank God, let's keep moving. Let's move along here."
Well, they could have started it real quick and then cut.
They could have implied a little more because all it showed was. And then
but the next morning he's all happy. So like,
so
I don't know if they had sex. Yeah. I don't know if they got. I'm like, I assume they did, but
maybe he's happy that the relationship was moving in a good direction.
Yeah.
Right. Well, right. He got a handy, and we all know it. So, I'm just kidding.
Well, that Russian though was fun. It was like he's mysterious, and he comes in, you know, takes a shot, takes a bump. Gets on, does a little weird dance.
I was like, what is this goofy old man?
Who is he?
No. See, this guy. So that was one of the other things that I was a little worried about was oh gosh, this guy
is gonna be
he's gonna be so extra the entire movie. Yeah. Like this is gonna be the most extra villain that I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
Luckily, he did grow on me by the end of it. And I think he ultimately
they didn't overdo it because he's obviously a showman. He likes to dance or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, he has this one thing where he likes to dance, but they even made that worth something. It wasn't just like, oh, here's a weird, goofy old guy. He likes to dance and sing. Whenever the scene when he takes the glass and breaks it on the guy's head and really rubs it in. Oh, I mean, there was some cringy in a good way kind of moments in this movie, action-wise, that I did not expect. Because there's got to be a certain amount of violence that makes me cringe, and the cuts on his face, the gore effects and stuff in this movie were pretty good.
Yeah.
I love it. He's like, you know who that was? He was 3% stakeholder. Now it's ours.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
I will say that's kind of a pet peeve of mine sometimes in movies. It does that trope where a villain.
Is this called the pet peeve show? Damn.
Yeah. No, I don't hold it too much against this movie, but I'm saying that in a lot of movies, when a villain tries to establish themselves, they'll always just kill random henchmen.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes that's just kind of annoying because it's like, well, would they actually do that? But like, in this movie, it made me laugh by the end of it when everyone just started drinking. So, yeah. It was good.
I was laughing like a couple minutes ago real loud. I was thinking of because you said he was over. You didn't know if he was going to be over the top, and all I remembered was when he's at the hospital and you see him pick up the chair. You're like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
And then the next thing he opens the door and he's like, the guy gets scared and the chair hits him right in the face.
That was hilarious.
I was like, dang,
dude. You know what though?
Beating him with it.
I have to say that they made this villain scary because in that scene, even though it was funny when he threw the chair at the guy's head, whenever he goes, remember the other guy says something? He's like, look, I don't want you to get mad or nothing, but you hated that guy. I was actually nervous. I was like, what's he going to do? I thought he was going to break the guy's leg or something more or hurt his leg.
I think it's funny that he's like all sad and mad and like, that's my brother, my little brother. And then 2 minutes later, the next scene in another room, he's like, you hated that guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's family.
Yeah.
Oh
Russians are crazy. Yeah, but he was a good villain, I feel like, for such a short movie. I mean, they gave us just enough to where it didn't feel like, oh, this is just a random guy, but it also, they didn't need to get into some big backstory or anything. Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things we can compare this to, so I have a couple later, but it's like I think near the end and with I know Matt, you love this with Doc. Doc Brown. Christopher Lloyd. I was kind of spoiled a little bit when I heard, oh man, in the end, I'm glad he came back. I wish he was in it more. I'm like, oh whatever,
Yeah.
Man, he was hilarious.
Yeah, he was great.
It was when he in the big the two guys.
Yes.
And he's holding it choking him out.
That was such a memorable scene because they did a good job in this where like the action was fast, but they let certain things just sit for a little bit. And that slow zoom out as he's just strangling the guy. With the shotgun and everything. Well, what I loved about it was I knew something was going to happen because Bob Odenkirk didn't go to the nursery home. He just called the dad and said, hey, just a heads up. And I'm like, if he's not going down there, I bet you this dad knows how to kick ass, but he did it in such a badass way where he just blew. And the fact that he was holding a shotgun and he had two shotguns on his, like he was just shotgun happy at the end of the movie. It was really cool.
I thought that he had like two handguns under there and shoot through the blanket.
Yeah.
And then they come over and he wakes up, and which was a great scene too, just in general, because it's the two bad guys come in to intimidate, find information out from the old person that can't defend themselves.
Yeah.
And they did it so well to me because when he opens this up and they get they're surprised, for some reason. And he grabs the back of the gun so it can't get cocked or whatever.
Yeah.
He blocks that, and then the shotgun with his other hand and shoots the other guy. I'm like, how badass is that? He eliminates that guy by making sure he can't shoot him, and then he has a shotgun ready to take him out, and then he has this guy just to mess with, I'm like, and then the guy that's sleeping, the security for the building, he's like, hey, turn it down in there,
Yeah, he's just smothering the guy or letting him bleed out.
Yep.
And then of course by the end, the dad and then his two sons, and by the end,
Yeah.
all that's great. But we'll get more into it later. But I was gonna mention I really liked one thing I liked about Bob Odenkirk's character a lot was I guess his name was Hutch in the movie.
Yeah.
But he in the beginning, I really liked that aspect of his character where he was like, he wanted an excuse to beat up people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was he had the mentality of like, go ahead, make my day, like type of thing. Like
I was gonna say the same thing because he smiles on the bus. He was hoping, and and that was a great line when he said, they say sometimes God closes a door, he opens another one. And it was a great scene where he was ready to just kill, because he could have killed all those guys with that gun, but the fact that he's like, one thing I liked about it too was he wasn't as clean as, like John Wick. Like he was kind of getting beat up a little bit in that bus scene, what made more sense because it's 6 guys. It doesn't matter how bad you are. You're not like, it's going to be hard to beat up 6 guys. You'll get hit. And he was getting beat up, but that he kind of clearly he knew that would happen. And that was, he wanted to just, get into the dirty of it. And, I thought that was a great part of his character, the whole movie, because you could tell that he was kind of wanting something to happen, an excuse. And you could tell that he kept getting more. Like the great scene to me was when he gives the mob boss guy he gives him a chance. We can put all this under us, and he says something like, as much as I really badly want to play this out. And then when he goes into his car,
and has his fingers crossed
for a second. I actually was like, oh, he's hoping that he doesn't have to. And then I was like, what am I crazy? Like he's clearly hoping that he does come out so that he can fight him. Like I liked that part of it where he just didn't have a ton of remorse about getting into this conflict. Really, it's like he clearly has been holding back for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, what a way to just in a cocky way, just come into that guy's club, have dinner,
eating the steak,
and then eating the steak, and then he has that was a good line, and then he had the claymore underneath that napkin or whatever. That was so good.
You know what that reminded me of? I immediately thought this. It reminded me of another excellent movie, another badass character. It reminded me of Heath Ledger in Joker when he goes into those mob's room with the grenade and he had it attached to his finger. Ready? Like,
oh yeah,
you guys remember that?
No, sorry.
Famous scene.
No, yeah,
you see the pencil? I'm gonna make it disappear. You guys are nuts. You guys are eliminated from the podcast. Get out of here.
I remember.
We were letting you.
Anyway,
what do you want to say?
Anyway,
Jump up with
that
joy?
reminded me of that scene when the Joker opens. And then they all leave and he's standing there. Yeah. So I thought that was a great,
That's one of the best
callback
scenes
a little bit
in movie history, I feel like. But
oh, the Joker. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You see this pencil? I'll make it disappear. I like that's great.
Yeah.
But we're talking about this.
That's one of those scenes I YouTube sometimes, and I'll just watch just that scene because I love it so much.
What do you? Someone at work pisses you off. But
how did he do that?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyway,
I still can't figure it out.
I wanted to
12
mention.
Years later.
I wanted to mention real quick that I really I was so impressed by how many scenes that it appeared that Bob Odenkirk did a lot of, like, maybe most of the choreography, because there was a couple of scenes that I could kind of tell there was a stunt double, but other than that, there was so many good shots of him, in clear view of him actually like going toe to toe. And so that was pretty cool to see that.
Really choreography was just
spot
on. I mean, yeah, great.
Yeah, it's like I said, the trailer showed a lot of, like, you had some guns. He's gonna take some guys out, but the movie more than delivered on what the trailer was showing. I mean, it would surprise me how many great sequences we got. When he's defending the house because the guys are coming and he shuts the power down. I mean, I mean, that was some of the stuff was so brutal.
And then afterwards, when he has all the guys like sitting
In
in
the
the couches
basement,
with
and
the
the one
chairs,
dies. Yeah.
and he's
Very
talking to
cool.
them.
And I gotta say, I mean, just as such an iconic thing to me was the idea that he plays the Randy Newman song album, and that has the sparks that lights the fire, like lights the house on fire. That was just a cool concept, and I love that he finds the kitty cat bracelet there too, because that was the thing that pushed him over the edge. And so just the fact that he was like, "Huh, what do you think of that?" And it's like, any excuse to keep going.
Yeah.
Which I want to talk about the music in this movie. I mean, we just watched Snyder Cut last week, and we were talking about how it was hit and miss with some of the tracks playing. This movie was hit and hit. I mean, every time music was playing in this movie, when he would play a track, it reminded me of Baby Driver a little bit, in the sense that it really worked really well. Like, like all these scenes where it'd slow down and there'd be music, or like the action sequence in the car, when it's playing Heartbreaker and all that. Like,
oh yeah, that was great.
I forgot about that. We even got a good chase scene. I mean, this was.
Yeah.
I almost can't praise the movie enough in different regards, because it was just like, there's so much good stuff there. But yeah, the sound, I'm always talking about the soundtracks of these movies. And this one, I thought there was not a scene where I'm like, that's a little weird with the music. It was like, a lot of the times it would be playing music that was real, like, lofty, uplifting, while it was showing some gruesome stuff happening. And sometimes that doesn't work. But in this movie, hats off to the music. So,
I mean, so there's a lot, like I said earlier, there's a lot of comparisons we can have. So one thing I just remembered, one thing I did like about the villain in this is that, how in like John Wick's, in the Equalizer movies, that they're going after the bad guy. They did something bad.
Yeah.
I like that this time it was like you said, he picks up the bracelet, like, at that point I'm like, all this is for nothing.
Yeah.
I thought he was thinking that. He puts it in the bag, but he's the one that started it all.
No, he did,
it wasn't.
He just happened to kill the wrong guy, basically.
Yeah, it was So it was the bad guy coming after him. So I really like that aspect of it. It didn't go, like I said, didn't go with that trope about the bad guy crossed him over. Now I got to go after him. And I guess he says, "Oh, you were in my house," which that scene is great. It wasn't as good as the John Wick, or but or the one movie I'm going to talk about, or the two movies I'm going to talk about. Another series I wish got a third movie. I maybe you guys haven't seen them, but I love them. It's the Red and Red 2.
I've seen the first one.
Yes, the first one with Bruce Willis.
Yeah, good movie.
He's retired. He's all his files are all blacked out, and they're coming to kill him in his house, and he's ready for him. And I just love those kind of scenes. I love, because you're in my jungle. You're in my place, and just like I said, I love the Red movies, and this was great.
There was that great line when he's like, because he's pretty brash too. That there's actually there were certain points in the movie where I was a little bit like, even though this is a mob boss, I was a little bit like, okay, you beat the crap out of his brother, and it was kind of unprompted. But he makes a good point when he goes, "You came to my house, and you know that you don't effing do that." And I was like,
yeah,
that was good. That was just a good, and I was like, oh yeah. And then I kind of was like, yeah, he's justified, because he did send people to the house who could have potentially killed his kids. So, it kind of, and even if he was asking for it a little bit, but yeah, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, no, I thought that was great, too, that they didn't go with some trope where it's like someone's coming to get him or they're forcing him to a situation. It really was chance, because he just happens to go out. Because I thought, the way they make it look originally, he didn't take a swing. If you watch the trailer, you assume that these are mob guys or something that have to do with a guy, So the fact that when he goes to try to take out the people who robbed him, and then you realize it's like, this they're just this poor couple who's just like You know, they didn't even have bullets
Yeah.
in the gun. It might have been a little over the top that the baby had a ventilator. It's like, okay, we get it. They got, that's a little too sad almost. But he really
I love
looked
how
like so
yeah.
remorseful when he found the baby, and you could tell he was like, what am I doing? Because he pistol whipped that guy.
I also liked his message to his wife. I thought that was a pretty good message about thank you for giving me a chance to kind of live a normal life.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of paraphrasing, but I don't know. I thought it was kind of short and sweet, and it was just kind of a good admission from his character, because he has that hidden rage inside of him.
Mm-hmm.
But there's that part of him that also wants kind of that normal life outside of being a killer. So I thought that was a good moment for
They
him.
had the little backstory flashback where he's talking to the Black Russian, and he was like, I was so jealous, when he sees the other guy. I noticed that it's interesting. There's two parts in the movie where Bob Odenkirk talks about himself a little bit, and both times he's talking to dead people, because the first time is in the basement. Or maybe it's before that, I don't know. But then the other time is he's talking to the Black Russian, and both times the people who were alive are like dead by the time he's done talking, which is interesting because there's something poetic about confessing to a dead guy, confessing to a person who's about to die. But I thought it was funny too. The Black Russian guy, he's like, I've never seen a Black Russian. He's like, I get that a lot. That was like a weird little gag that they had in the movie.
Yeah,
that was a great escape, by the way. Inside the trunk.
Oh yeah,
I have a pet
car.
peeve about that actually. A nitpick, sorry. No, guys, it was so quick. So tell me, because I might have just seen something wrong here. Okay, but he's in the back.
Most likely.
He's in the back. He opens the trunk. Yeah, we're moving too fast. We're on a highway. He pops the little center thing down, right? Now he goes from the trunk into the back seat.
Yeah.
By popping the little seat thing down.
Well, he kicks it forward, yeah.
They make it look like it just crunches the guy's body. How?
Yeah, but because he was kicking it, he was putting all.
Did it just
usually the unlock to release the back seat to move forward is back there. So maybe he released it, kicked, and then went way hard. Then they go whoosh, he crawls out and douses them.
You're probably right. The reason it hit me weird was because when I watched it, it was so quick. But what I was thinking that happened, and now to be frank, I feel a little silly. But
I thought it was weird too. I'll give you that.
I thought it was the middle. You know how you can move the middle thing down sometimes in a car? I thought he moved that down, and then the guy in the front. And I'm like, you ever play around in the trunk of a car as a kid? That sounded weird, but there's no way you're going to do any damage to somebody with this little thing. But you're probably right. He probably moved the whole seat forward. That makes more sense.
Yeah, I saw the whole seat. I thought it was weird too. But I went with it.
It was fine.
Yeah.
We should make a YouTube video parodying that scene where we actually have
try
someone's
it.
Someone's arm gets cut off from that
just that little cinder thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, what else can we talk about?
We got to talk about the whole finale. I mean, the
family.
Because let me say this. Oh well, the family. Get them out of here for now, because I'm talking about
the brother. Oh,
yeah, you're right.
The
sorry.
dad.
Yeah. I thought you meant his family. Well, I guess it is. This movie, the way they did it in this movie, because some of those action sequences at the end were bordering on. They could have been cheesy if done the wrong way, but they ended up just being the way they did kind of the stylized action. They really made it work. I don't know how he pulled it off, because there were certain things where I'm like, it's funny in action because you can literally be, you go a little bit this way and it could be really cheesy. You go a little bit this way and it could be really cool. And somehow it was all really cool. There wasn't even because even Christy mentioned, she was like, Christopher Lloyd with the shotguns and stuff. It's like that could have been too goofy, right? But it worked.
Yeah.
It worked
It was
pretty well.
to me. It was a little. Goofy.
A little. There was a couple of things that felt like Call of Duty or something at the end. There's some certain things, like whenever what's the actor, the rapper or whatever who played the other the guy
RZA. Reza.
He had a couple, but the thing was the action movie enthusiast in me, it always won out because there's the part when he gets the 3 headshot.
Yeah.
I want you almost could be like what, but instead it's just like that was cool. It was just like all that stuff was really cool. Even him putting the C4 or whatever, the Claymore on the little glass thing and then blowing back. It's like,
oh, dude. And then the Yuan's face, all grizzled and bloody after that explosion. That was.
I thought they made it like he was gonna survive, and I thought they were gonna do that. Here's one thing. One thing about the bus scene and the scene where the bad guy dies. So in movies, I like when the bad guy knows he lost and knows he's dead. So when the little brother, the 5 of them get their butts kicked, and I think kills one of the other ones, and he's laying there and he's like looking at him and he can't breathe, like that look of like. I'm dying. I'm gone. I'm like, I love that. And with the Claymore, they kind of take that away because at first I'm like, oh, he's gonna live and he's gonna come over and blow him, shoot him in the head to finish him off. And he's gonna look at him, But so that's a little nitpick or pet peeve. We're gonna do the pet peeve show here, and I like the bag. I don't like quick kills. I don't like quick deaths. I want the bad guy to know he's a loser.
You were wanting like a Thanos level where he's looking at himself turn to sand kind of thing.
But listen, was Yuan the bad guy? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Hutch was...
Hutch was really
Sterling, if you really want to go there, what were they implying with the woman stuck on the bus and the 5 guys? What were they implying? So you tell me who the bad guy is.
Oh, I'm not defending.
I'm listening.
I'm listening. Anything. No, okay. I'll just say this. I think I don't think there's like a clear-cut antagonist protagonist. I think both like Hutch and Yuan. Now Yuan I think is worse, but I do think Hutch has a lot of gray to his character. I don't think it's just black and white.
Oh no.
Like we mentioned earlier, he kind of was the initiator for the whole thing. So
I can't think of what did he do that was wrong other than maybe steal the neighbor's car. What did he actually do that was maybe like bad?
Yeah, I mean, what?
We're
nothing.
listening.
I'm not gonna say
I
he
see what
did
you're
anything
saying.
compared to
By the
Yuan.
way,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. But,
Yeah.
but I'm just he clearly. Well, I see what you're saying in the fact that everything he did in the movie was self-centered for sure. Like he didn't do anything
except defending his family. That was definitely not like that was.
I think he just wanted to kick some ass. You know what I mean?
I get
No, I'm just kidding.
He wanted to kick ass. He wanted to kick ass on the bus, but when they came at his house, I mean, he was in defense mode for sure.
You know what's?
But oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say one thing that was really satisfying was the brother-in-law Charlie, who was like a real douchey kind of douchey character, and then at the end when he just punches him in the stomach really bad, and he's like, "Well, what am I gonna do?" And he's like, "I don't give a shit." That was so funny.
Yeah.
And then
Get out.
Was the older guy? Was that who was the?
I
older
think
guy
that was
who
the
owned business?
father-in-law. I think that was his wife's father, and that was his wife's brother.
Okay.
And that it was a family because Christy made a good she made a good point. She said he said I just want a place that's my own. She made a good point after the movie that that at the beginning it was his wife's father and son's business, family business, and then he buys it from them, and at the end his father is there, and now it's father and son, it's their business, but he's killing people.
Okay.
It was just a little interesting thing that happened.
That's funny.
I just thought it was funny that he like punches Charlie and he has all that gold to buy the business, and his father-in-law just doesn't he doesn't give a shit,
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just happy to retire. I'm happy to get all this money. That was funny to me.
What did you? Go ahead.
Well, but what was really cool, and it could have been silly, but I did kind of like the traps that he set throughout the building.
Oh yeah.
The Home Alone, R-rated Home Alone type.
The little bullets.
Yeah,
on the
that
wall
was awesome.
with the mouse traps. That was so cool. What a cool idea. And of course the rebar just stabbing into those guys. I gotta give a huge on the action. I have to give a huge. There was a while in action movies, and they still do this a lot, where when we got into CG blood squirts, where even in John Wick, by the way, because I watched John Wick 3, I feel like even in John Wick, we got to a point where the action and the choreography was great, but the gore was very just CG blood spurts. Someone's getting shot, CG. Something about this movie, a lot of the gore and violence and looked really real. I felt like they used a lot more either more evolved effects, CGI effects mixed with practical effects, because there was a lot of there was one of the traps was just an explosion, and you literally see what looked like part of the guy's arm smash up against the wall. There was a lot of little things like that, when people were getting shot, the way the blood went onto the walls and stuff. I'm sure a lot of that was special effects too, but I feel like they're getting better at it because it all looked a lot more real in this movie. The bullet wounds and everything looked really cool. So I got to give props in that department.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of? There was a lot of vagueness to the movie. Now, I was okay with it, but for a while in the movie, it was actually unclear whether the wife knew who he was or not. And by the end of it, it seemed like she did, because he said he makes some commentary "Thank you for letting me have a normal life" and stuff. There were certain parts of it. Here's what I'm saying: they weren't super clear whether she knew or not. But to me, by the end of it, it felt like the hints were that she did know. Because she didn't seem as surprised, for instance, with certain things. When they come out of the basement, she almost...
What?
Sterling got his hand raised.
Well, I got the impression that she knew, because when he came back from the bus fight, she was helping him
and he said just like old
wounds.
Times. Yeah. And
that's
the biggest clue.
Only sign. Yeah. But
that's
the other clue... The other one is how I thought she looked really shocked and surprised walking out of the basement, and when they're outside of the car, when she's about to leave, she's like, "What is this?"
I agree.
So that to me was the biggest sign that she did not know.
But
it contradicted the your guys' point of her saying it was good old times,
Here's my argument for that. I think she was saying, "What the did you get yourself into?"
I didn't.
But
I thought her acting was spot on, and she's crystal clear.
I don't think
that she had no idea.
After 20 years or whatever, they have kids. I think she was like, "What is going on?" But that is still consistent with him at one point being involved in this stuff years ago when they first met, because. The thing because it makes sense if it's just like old times, right? She's clearly cleaned his wounds before, and then later her being like, "But what have you gotten into, Hutch?" That works, even if it seems a little, whatever.
Well, because he was a quote unquote auditor, so he was kind of a hitman type thing, is what I kind of got from his backstory.
Yeah, he finished the job or cleaned up. That's another thing. They were vague about exactly what he did and who he was, because they showed one time the files, and they did a little bit of a John Wick Baba Yaga thing where, remember the girl? The girl does the Google research or whatever, and then she goes, "I quit. Don't even have to pay me," and she throws the files.
Well, the tattoo guy. The tattoo guy. That was when I first laughed. Cool. That was the scene.
Yeah,
he's locking the.
Yeah, that was pretty comical.
And he looks through the door and he closes the door.
I was laughing. The locks kept going.
The people in the
that
crowd
was a
were
great
laughing
scene.
too.
Yeah, they really make
Like, what do you need?
Yeah, how can I help you? And and then like I said again, they were never super. I liked it in a way because there wasn't a lot of exposition. They didn't have to explain everything. His tattoo. That means he was part of this group who did this thing and that. It's just like, no, there's some tattoo and the veteran guy recognizes it and he knows not to mess with him. But there's vague. The other real vague thing that could maybe be a problem with people is there wasn't a big explanation as to what was going on with his brother or friend or whoever who was dead, RZA. Yeah. Like, it was just like he can talk, he communicates in this radio that he has, but it's like, where are you? Are you like underground somewhere or what what's going on? Once again, I was okay with it, but it was really vague onto what exactly is happening.
Oh, yeah.
I anticipate that they're probably hoping for a sequel. I would think. I don't know. I got the impression that they're going to come out with a sequel if it gets enough money, of course. Yeah. So,
I think word of mouth hopefully will hack up the prices on this because it was really good. It was I didn't expect it to be so good. I thought it'd be an okay movie, and then I watched it and I was like, oh, this is like really good.
Yeah. I don't think the money matters really much anymore because it's turning into streaming wars. And I mean, just look at the Snyder cut. So I think sequels can get greenlit, and even with it not making a blockbuster money.
Well, this movie doesn't have to because the budget's not that big anyway.
So, I mean, I'm just saying that it's not gonna have to be a smash hit, but it's gonna. I think either way, if it's a one-off, it's a great one-off. But it's actually halfway through when all the action's like we're well into the action, I'm like, for some reason I had this feeling, but in most cases, I'm a part of the group where like I don't need having universes. I don't need to have this movie attached to this movie, that movie attached to this movie. But I was really like, I really hope this is in the John Wick world. I'm not sure who the companies are. I'm like, please.
I
like this would be great.
I really thought the same thing. I was like, if in John Wick 4, he's like, it's like he for some reason he ends up in the Midwest or wherever they are in the movie. Could be L.A. actually. I don't know where they're at in the movie if they say in this movie. But if there's something where John Wick like I know a guy. It's like, what's his name? Nobody.
He's a nobody.
Yeah, he's a nobody. Yeah, or whatever. If we just got one action scene with Keanu Reeves and Bob Odenkirk, I would be happy. Yeah.
Like, because it could make it work because he's like, I got a guy on the inside because he is still attached to the government. He's still working because John Wick's not. He's an outlaw. But he's actually, with the government, so I'll be like, I got a guy on the inside, and that'd be great. Yeah, but it's big dreams.
Big dreams. Yeah, I can't remember if this was a Lionsgate movie or not because I know John Wick is a Lionsgate movie. So I don't know.
I don't know.
Check into
it. Before we kind of close this out, I just wanted to again. Now I don't think there's any chance of this, but I actually think like Bob Odenkirk's performance, I actually would consider him for an Oscar nom for this performance because of how much he had to do in this movie. Yeah, the action, choreography, the emotion when he had to show it, that kind of inner rage, and the comedy. Like he did a really good. I mean, he's always good at comedy, but showing a lot more layers to his character. Even more so than what he's shown as Saul in Better Call Saul. Yeah. I don't know. I would consider him for at least a Golden Globe. So.
The movie itself, no, but him, I could go with a nom,
for sure.
I forgot one thing with the tattoo when the lady found out who he was and she's like, you don't have to pay me, and she leaves.
Yeah.
I love how the file itself said nobody. I like that.
I thought that was cool.
Like
No, and I
it
liked
wasn't just
it
the title of the movie.
It made it
Yeah.
exactly. It made it less cheesy when he said nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, they're saying the title of the movie. It's like, no, this is actually a thing that makes sense within the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also, I gotta say, the opening of the movie, I loved even the editing on this movie. I thought like I said, the movie was so clean and sleek and stylish, and like just that opening of him slow motion bringing the cigarette out and everything, and they go, "So who are you?" And then the title just comes up. That was a great opening, and then the ending. I loved it when he's like, you can tell he doesn't give a shit, and then he is some really important, like, he really is this Baba Yaga, John Wick type figure, because they both get the phone call, and then they just look at him.
That's cheesy, but it was funny.
It was sort of cheesy, but the fact that they didn't even need to say anything, I thought that was
Yeah,
that
they
was
said
great.
They were speechless. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well, I don't really have anything else. So I think,
It's not that big of a movie.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go. I mean, like I said, it was such a slow start. I was like, am I in the wrong movie theater? Like, I literally was like, it was so quiet. It was like, and they took it too long with the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And you know what? Let me stop. Let me push the brakes. Let me go with a nitpick here, or a something weird. You know how he's missing the trash every week? Why isn't his trash can over full? Why does he have 2 trash cans out there after the 3rd time? What the heck is going on? Where's his trash going? Because he's been missing it every week.
I'm gonna add on to that nitpick. This is a twin pick because, because a toothpick, if you will, but I don't know, cut it. But I thought that too with the trash. There were certain things it was showing in those Monday and Friday and stuff that were literally the same shot.
Yeah.
Including him with the trash. So that was a little confusing. I think they should have made sure it was different shots, like even slightly. The same stuff could be happening, but it was kind of weird. Like, she was like, oh, I forgot the coffee or whatever. I took all the coffee. But they kept showing the shot of her dumping the coffee into his coffee. I'm like,
you missed the trash. You missed the trash.
Yeah, they should have made it seem a little more different or something. Anyway, nitpick, but
yeah. Why don't you help me with the trash once in a while? You know?
Yeah.
Why don't you remember the trash? I go to work too, and I got to take the bus.
Yeah, you have the only car.
Yeah.
Matt, we missed you because I was talking at the very beginning of the video about you said, oh, I have a nitpick there too about, I think when he finds the bracelet, I forgot what it was. Did you say all your nitpicks?
I think so. The only other nitpick I have is more of like a cliche kind of thing, which is in this movie there was a lot of, maybe it only happened twice, but, and I might sound like a dummy here, but in movies they're aiming the gun at someone and they always, as an intimidation thing, they always go and pull the hammer back. What? That doesn't do anything. Why they always do that in movies? I'm like, is it not gonna fire if you don't go? It's like it's always like a weird intimidation tactic. It happens in movies. It was a little weird, but anyway, that was literally the only other thing.
Right.
I got lost in the movie and I had no nitpicks by the end of it. So
yeah, okay. Slow start, which was disappointing, but there's a huge payoff with the second and third acts. So many great action scenes. Christopher Lloyd. Amazing. I mean, of course, there's a little cheesiness with him, like he doesn't get shot at once, stuff like that. But hey, we don't want to see Doc Brown die. We don't want to see that. But no, it was great action. I do hope for a second one. I know, and even if it is a one-off, I'm happy. This is a great one-off. Like we said, we hope it goes in with John Wick. It will never happen, but there's a lot of hope. And very enjoyable after you get through the first 20 minutes, which is almost a third of the movie. But so, I mean, yeah, it's short and sweet. It doesn't, waste time with all this talking, and great action and very enjoyable film.
You want me to go?
I guess I'll go.
Okay, go
ahead.
We'll figure this out before we start.
Hey, we do improv. Anyway, Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. This is one of the more entertaining films I've seen in a while. My preference I usually like kind of more slow burns in films, but for what this film was trying to accomplish, I think it succeeds with flying colors. And I think Bob Odenkirk is incredible in this movie. He has to do a lot, and he succeeds in pretty much every way. I think the action is up there with John Wick, and even the Raid movies. I would definitely put it up with those action films for sure. And yeah, I think yeah, I can't really say anything else. It kicked so much ass, and I'm really glad Matt picked this. And it was a great first movie to go back to in the theaters after a year of not being there.
I mean, I can't, I don't have much to add. I think you guys mostly stole the words from my mouth. I saw the trailer to this movie a while ago and was like, oh, that looks interesting. And I really thought it was going to be like, you know, an okay kind of fun movie. And so I think, you know, I didn't know what to expect. I figured it looked like something I would like, so I didn't expect it to be bad. But man, it just blew my expectations out of the water. It just was everything about it was great. I just didn't expect it to be so good. Like, and you know, movies are subjective. The things that this movie did well are things that I appreciate movies doing well. So to me, it just hit me in a way where I was like, you know, and maybe it's just the high of seeing the movie and it was a fun theater experience. So maybe it'll be one to watch again later and my opinion might change. But leaving the theater and still now thinking back on it, I really feel like this is maybe the best. It's definitely top 3 action movies of the decade for me. And so far really is probably, you know, right in my wheelhouse. And I think it's just probably my favorite movie, or at least up there with my favorite movies so far this year. So we'll see. We still got, you know, another half of the year to go, but I'm looking forward to a possible sequel if they have it. But I think like Trey said, if it was a one and done, I'd be perfectly happy. I mean, to me, this is just going to be a classic. Yeah, I think it's been a while since I've watched a movie and I can't think of what they could have done differently. The movie just was it was just for what it was just like perfect. I can't think of a way to change it other than little nitpicks and stuff. But yeah, so I would say, and I think everyone would agree that we would recommend anyone to go watch it. My girlfriend watched it with me, and she's not a big action movie person, and she liked it. So I think anyone could enjoy this movie. And it's got a little something for everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Trey, you want to close this out?
Yeah, I mean, per usual, I mean, thank you for people that subscribed. I mean, thanks for watching. And, you know, comment. We love we love the comments. Like, just say what you think. There's people been saying that they no. Some people said nope.
Yeah, I don't even know what that
I saw that one. Yeah, like
I think it was answering the title. But anyway,
the title,
ahead, yeah.
So yeah, just we like the comments. So comment, yeah.
If you just want to comment, and literally just type for the algorithm, just go ahead and do that because it helps get the video out there.
We want you to comment, start a discussion, you know, and yeah, like and subscribe. I mean, we love it. It gets us excited. We want to keep on watching more movies and reviewing them and having you guys come back. And if you haven't seen them, watch them, come back and watch it with us or review it with us. And yeah, that's it from us. The film Schmucks, because we are schmucks and we love watching movies.
Oh,
see you next time.
Next week. Sorry, Trey. I don't mean to cut you off, but I do want to. I realize we need to start saying what the next week's movie is, so that people who want to watch and follow along. Next week we're watching, or this week we're watching Godzilla versus Kong. So it's on HBO Max streaming. It's in theaters. Go watch it. The review that we do will probably be up within the next day, probably. So watch that movie, and then you'll be ripe and ready to go for us next
watching
week.
Us. Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. We'll see you next time, guys. Woo. Yes.
Cut it.
Cut it. Yeah. Ah! See you guys.